The quiet screams from the back room of Lily's restaurant were unclear. Sarah clenched her fists under the table, her nails digging into her palms. She wanted to run, to burst through that door and drag her sister out, but she knew better. Mama Lily's rules were simple. You obey or you suffer. Lily's restaurant was the busiest restaurant in Cape Town, known for its juicy meats and warm bread. But the real money came after dark, when the diner's lights dimmed and the special customers arrived. Sarah's older sisters, Emma and Grace, were the main attraction. At first, they had refused. "We won't do it, Mama," Grace had said, her voice shaking. "We want to go to college. Not this." Mama Lily had laughed, a cold, sharp sound. "College? With whose money? Your father left us with nothing. You think I feed you from kindness? No. You work or you starve." And so, they worked. Sarah, the youngest, watched in silence. She was still in high school, but Mama Lily had already made her plans clear. "Your turn comes soon," she'd whisper, stroking Sarah's hair like a prize pet. But Sarah had other plans. That night a stranger walked into the restaurant. Sarah knew something was wrong. He was tall, dressed in a fancy black suit, his gold watch shining under the dim lights. He smiled at Emma, but his eyes were cold, like a snake watching its prey. Mama Lily's face lit up with greed. She nudged Emma hard. "This one's got money," she whispered. "Don't ruin this." Emma's hand shook as she served him his food. The man didn't even eat. He just stared at her, like she was something he wanted to own. When he finished, he slid a thick stack of cash across the table. "I'll be back tomorrow," he said in a low voice. "And you're going home with me." Mama Lily clapped her hands like she'd won a prize. "Oh, yes, sir. She'll be ready for you." That night, Emma begged. "Mama, please," she cried. "There's something off about him. I'm scared." Mama Lily didn't care. She slapped Emma across the face. "Hard. You will go," she snarled, "or you will sleep in the streets." Emma's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. The next night, Sarah watched as a man took her sister away, his grip tight on her arm like claws. She had a bad feeling, a feeling that she'd never see Emma again. 3 days passed with no word from Emma. Grace paced the diner, her face pale. "Mama, we need to call her." "What if?" "Shut up." Mama Lily snapped. "He paid for a week. She'll be back when it's done." But Sarah knew. She felt it. On the 4th day, a police officer walked into the restaurant. Mama Lily's smile faltered. The officer said, his voice grave, "We found a young woman's body by the river. She matches your daughter's description." Mama Lily's face went slack. Grace let out a loud cry. Sarah didn't cry. She just stared at the officer, her mind searching for the next available plan to take. The next few days was Emma's funeral. The funeral was small and quiet. The little church stood alone under a gray sky. The air smelled like wet grass and old wood. Only the priest was there. No one else from town came. Emma's coffin was plain and simple. Mama Lily had picked the cheapest one. "No point wasting money on the dead," she had said, her voice sharp. Grace stood beside her, stiff and silent. Mama Lily held Grace's arm so tightly her fingers dug into the skin. Sarah watched them, her hands clenched into fists. She hadn't cried, not when they found Emma, not when the doctor said she was gone, not even now as dirt covered the coffin. Mama Lily was a troublesome, cold-hearted woman, so people avoided her. They never meddled in her affairs. No one wanted her problems. The only ones who dealt with her were customers, and even then, only when necessary. That night, the house felt colder than ever. Sarah sat on her bed, listening to Mama Lily moving downstairs. The fire had burned out, leaving only shadows. Emma's empty room made Sarah's chest ache. She couldn't stay any longer. Not one more night. Her hands shook as she packed a small bag, a spare dress, a thin shawl, and a broken silver locket Emma had given her long ago. She had no money, no real plan, but she didn't care. She had to leave before Mama Lily decided her fate. She waited until the house was quiet. Then, holding her breath, she stepped into the hallway. The old floor creaked under her foot. Sarah froze. A long silence. Then, "Sarah." Mama Lily's voice slithered through the dark. Sarah's heart pounded. Before she could move, the door swung open. Mama Lily stood there, her nightgown pale in the candlelight. Her face was hidden in shadow, but Sarah could feel her cold stare. "Where do you think you're going?" Mama Lily asked, her eyes red and angry. Her hair was messy, like she hadn't slept. "Where do you think you're going?" she demanded. Sarah's heart beat fast. She lied quickly. "Nowhere. Just getting water." Mama Lily grabbed Sarah's arm hard. "You think I'm stupid? I know you want to leave." Sarah pulled away. "I won't end up like Emma. I won't die just to make you money." Smack! Mama Lily hit Sarah across the face. "Ungrateful girl. After everything I've done for you." Sarah's cheek burned. She didn't wait. She turned and ran. Out the door. Down the road. Into the dark night. She ran until her legs hurt. She ran until the diner's lights were just tiny dots far behind her. Only then did she stop to breathe. The city was freezing cold. Sarah had never felt cold like this before. It went deep into her body, making her shake all over. She sat under a bridge, arms wrapped around herself, trying to stay warm. Her stomach hurt from hunger. Then she saw someone coming. A woman with gray hair and soft eyes stopped in front of her. "You look lost," the woman said gently. "Are you okay?" Sarah didn't know what to say. After a moment, she nodded. The woman smiled. "My name is Ruth. I take care of girls who need help. Come with me. I have a warm place where you can stay." Sarah looked at Ruth's face. She saw no anger, no lies, just kindness. For the first time since Emma died, Sarah felt something warm in her chest. Hope. The shelter was warm and safe. Other girls lived there too, all running from even worse situations. Slowly, Sarah began to trust people again. She even smiled sometimes. One morning, a kind woman from the city office talked to Sarah. "We can send you back to school," she said. "You're smart. You could have a good life." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. A real future, her own choice, not Mama Lily's. But that same night, Grace arrived at the shelter. Her face was hurt, her hands trembling. "Mama's lost her mind," Grace whispered. "She's coming for you, Sarah. She says she won't let you get away." Sarah didn't sleep that night. She knew Mama Lily would find her. She always did. The next morning, the shelter's door burst open. Mama Lily stood there, her face twisted in rage. "You belong to me." Sarah stood her ground. "No, I'm free." "No, you are mine," Mama yelled angrily. And just then, the police arrived. Mama Lily was arrested. The restaurant was shut down. Grace moved into the shelter with Sarah. For the first time, they were safe. One evening, Grace whispered, "Do you think Emma will be proud of us?" Sarah nodded. Yeah, she would. Years later, Sarah stood backstage in the graduation hall, adjusting her black gown as happy voices and applause filled the air. All around her, families clapped and snapped photos of students receiving diplomas. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear this time, but from pure excitement. She could hear Grace cheering before her name was even called. "That's my sister." Grace shouted from the audience, making people around her laugh. Sarah jurled. The dean announced, with honors in social work. The crowd cheered loudly as Sarah walked across the stage. The bright lights made it hard to see, but she could spot Grace jumping up and down in the third row, crying happy tears. Ms. Thompson, the kind woman who had helped them after they escaped, wiped her eyes too. As Sarah held a diploma, she thought about how far she'd come. Mama Lily was still in prison, where she belonged. After Emma's death, the police had learned about all the bad things Mama Lily had done. She would never hurt anyone again. Grace had been scared for a long time after everything that happened. Sometimes she still had bad dreams. But now she worked at a safe place for women, helping others who had been hurt like they were. Sarah looked at her diploma, then at Grace's smiling face. She realized something important. She wasn't the scared little girl from the restaurant anymore. She was strong. She was free. And best of all, her real life was just starting.